Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are with a game against this guy. The game starts with b3. The b3 took fianchet to the bishop and keep eye on the center. I respond with e5 and he goes to d3. Not fianchet to the bishop, which can give an advantage to build your center. I goes with d5. Now my both pawns on the center and have a good eye on the center. And he goes to bishop to d2, not fianchetting the bishop. And this, look at this position. Bishop has no control on the center, not doing anything. I put my knight on b6, and what he does? c3. Blocking his own bishop's view, and in bishop is not doing anything, not even making a knight progress or nothing. I put my knight on f6 and he plays on f3. Not the knight, but the pawn. The pawns, 4 pawns on the 3rd rank, and I was shocked because I don't know what to do and what he was doing. So I keep my development, bishop on f5, and now he plays an aggressive move, pawn on g4, attacking the bishop which was just developed and eyeing the center. I put my bishop on g6 and he plays h4. The idea of h4 to trap the bishop on the next move, and I don't want my bishop to get trapped, so I respond with h5 and he goes with the g5. He said not the bishop, then I will take your knight. I save my knight and he goes to bishop to h3. Again, I don't want my knight to get traded in the early stages of the game, so I goes knight to c5. He goes bishop to e3, I goes knight to a6, and he plays bishop to knight to a3. Now this is a blunder because as you see, the bishop is ready to take the knight, and this is what exactly do. And he does b4. Trapping my bishop and ready to fork my 2 knights on the next move, and I don't want my knight to get traded, so I goes back. He comes up with the queen on b3, and at this point I know that my bishop is going to get captured, so I tried to delay it and I successfully delayed it, but the 3 moves only. Advances my more c pawn and he blocks with the rook, and I castle on the king side. Captures the rook, where he captures the pawn on the c2. I centralize my one rook. He goes with the b5, attacking my knight, and now I don't have enough squares to go on. So I trade the knight and he takes this bishop on f1. Why? The bishop is not doing anything there. His bishop is yet to come into the game. His rook is chilling in the corner. I takes the d3 pawn, but which was a blunder because I didn't see that the queen was just right there. Takes my bishop, and then I place the c5 pawn. He takes with rook. Now I know that this pawn is going to get captured in any of the moves, so I goes a check. He gives a check, and I put my knight on d7, attacking the rook. And he placed the rook on a d5, forking my two pieces. And now I cannot save. Now I cannot save. So I place my queen on b6. I said whoever will capture this pawn will directly get pinned towards the king. He captures the knight first, and at this point you can clearly see is a 6 points of material up, and I was losing hope slowly. So I goes up with rook on c8. He places his knight on h3. What he was trying to do is to create some pressure on the king side, so he can come up with a queen, with a rook, and with a knight. I places the rook right behind the queen, so if he captured, I can give a fork and I will capture this queen. But this didn't happen. He goes with knight to f4. I capture his a-file pawn. He captures my d-file pawn, and this pins the rook. I goes on a4, and in this position, if he plays the e3, then he unpins the bishop, and I lose my last hope too, because then I don't have any further plans. But what he does was incredible, because he takes h5 pawn, and this move is the biggest blunder of this game, because this gives me a chance to give a discovered check on the king and capture the queen with the same time. Now, wherever he moves his queen, he moves his rook, he moves his knight, no matter. His queen is going to get captured. He places the knight on f6, thinking that this will deny the queen to get captured, but this was just a temporary release. He places the queen on e3, and I bring my rook, which was on the e5, into the game with capturing the queen. He takes my rook with the king, and now I want his second most powerful piece on the board to get captured. Takes the rook. Rook takes on h4 with a discovered check on the king and attack on the rook. He cannot save the rook, so he moves the king and I get the rook. Now he plays the bishop on h2. I goes to rook on h2. He goes back and I capture his g pawn, and this game slowly continues. I give him a couple of checks and capture his every single piece on the board. I usually don't do this because this was a very long process and maybe a chance of a stalemate. But what this guy do in the middle game and in the rest of the game forces me to do this, and the game ends in a ladder mate. Thanks for joining.